Hi guys, welcome back. In this section, we are going to be covering question 2 of the BCS Business Analysis Practice sample paper. So let's have a look and see what we've got here. So we've got what they state is that a business analyst is working on a confidential project to introduce a new type of mobile device into the consumer market. He has been asked by his manager to review the notes from a meeting with the senior product innovation team and produce a Porter's 5 forces analysis. Which of these notes would not be relevant to this analysis? Select all that apply. So, as we stated in the previous question, is that what I like to do is I first like to just read through the question like this to give us a bit of context, to give us an overview of what they're actually trying to test us on. And what I've also said is that in business analysis practice rather, they're testing us on our practical application of some business analysis techniques. So sometimes it can be a little bit obscured, trying to figure out what technique they're trying to test us on. And sometimes they literally directly tell you what it is. And in this case, we can see that they are literally mentioning Porter's 5 forces analysis. Then because it's practical, it's testing us on the practical application of our knowledge. They're taking this technique and they're putting it in a scenario, in a context in terms of a business analysis assignment that you'll be doing. So if we see here, it says, the business analyst is working on a confidential project to introduce a new type of mobile device into the consumer market. He has been asked by his manager to review the notes from a meeting with the senior product innovation team and produce a Porter's 5 forces analysis. So contextually, we can see here that there's a business analyst that's used Porter's 5 forces analysis and within this specific context. And there's been some notes that have been created from this analysis. Now, what they are asking us for here is which of these notes will not be relevant to this analysis. So what we can almost see here is that they often quite use this technique where they will use valid statements from valid analysis techniques, and then they'll add analysis from other techniques and kind of jumble them up. And you need to identify which of the statements or the notes or the information that's been elicited from the stakeholders during your business analysis assignment is tied to the analysis, the technique that it's testing you on here. So what we need to do, what it's asking us to do here is find the notes, the statements that are part of Porter's 5 forces, and then eliminate those and select the ones that are not. So it's kind of a negative style question. Just be careful, because a lot of the time it's a very common mistake for students to read through a question and start focusing on the information and not clearly understand what is being asked. So potentially might select the incorrect answers based on what is part of the technique, what is part of Porter's 5 forces analysis. But always read that final statement, the instructions of the question carefully, because it says that we must select which of these notes is not part or not relevant to Porter's 5 forces analysis. And it also says we must select all that apply. It's not a simple multiple choice where we select only one answer. We have to select all of the answers that are not part of Porter's 5 forces analysis. So let's start with the first. Just give me one moment here. I'm just getting my notes up. Okay, so what do we know about Porter's 5 forces analysis? We know that Porter's 5 forces analysis is a framework that is used to analyze the competitive environment, the competitive forces that will be affecting an organization. And often it is used in the context of analyzing the strategy of an organization. So if you may be performing a SWOT analysis to identify the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, what we have to, from that model during your studies, you may have identified that you've got the internal and the external factors. So Porters will be a technique that is used to analyze some of the external factors. And contextually, it will be used to analyze the competitive external environment. So it's not everything that is within the boundaries of the organization's control. It's things that are outside of the organization's control. It's external to the organization, but it's the competitive factors or forces that will affect the organization. So we know that the Porter's 5 forces are the threat of new entrants, the bargaining power of buyers, the bargaining power of suppliers, the threat of substitute products, and the rivalry amongst the competitors. So it's the industry competition. It's the amount of people that are coming in terms of competitors, businesses that are trying to compete with you within the market. So if we look at the first question here, we can say that product design must be fully patented before the product launch next month, or we could fail to protect our innovative design. Now, what we have to do is decide if this is relevant to Porter's 5 forces or not. And if we read this carefully, product design must be fully patented before the product launch next month, or we could fail to protect our innovative design. So, can you see that this is linked to an external competitive force? We can definitely say that it is, because you can see that it is relevant to the threat of new entrants and possibly the threat of new substitutes, products or services. So this is pretty obvious that organizations can come into the market and easily replicate the design of the product. So by them protecting the patent, by them patenting the product, protects them from new entrants into the market and new products coming into the market. It creates what is known as a barrier to entry in the market. So that is relevant. So this is something that we are not going to be selected as one of our correct answers because it pertains to Porter's 5 forces. Now let's look at B, which states that shareholder dividends should be agreed before setting next year's budget to ensure sufficient cash is available for the product launch. Now, is this relevant or is it not? Okay, so we can almost see that it's related to some form of an internal financial consideration. It's not linked to any competitive external force. The statement doesn't link to any of the Porter's 5 forces, the competitive elements of Porter's, because it's stating about the budget and about money and about cash. It is stating about the product, but it's got nothing to do with competition. So what we can almost see here is that this could be from a PESTLE analysis. It may be from one of the economic factors of a PESTLE analysis, but it's definitely not from Porter's 5 forces. Then we have C, which is one of our major competitors plans to launch a new version of a similar product when it announces the appointment of a new CEO. Now, is this relevant or not? What we can see is that it literally mentions competitors in the statement. So it's indicating that it is relevant to Porter's 5 forces and the competitive environment in which the organization exists. So which one of Porter's 5 forces could it be linked to? I would say that it could be linked to the rivalry amongst industry competition. It's the competitors coming into the market, because it is saying that one of the organization's major competitors wants to launch a new version of a similar product when it announces the appointment of a new CEO. So it's new competitors that are coming, that are existing in the market and wanting to come in. And it's also linked to new products, because it's saying that this organization is launching a new product. So therefore, there would be competition between our organization's product and their organization's product. So then if we look at D, it says, a final analysis is required from our legal team, confirming that the product does not violate emission regulations in our core markets. Is this relevant or not? Well, it could be relevant to some form of this type of analysis, or possibly to threat of new entrants or substitute products. But this is way more likely to have come from the legal aspect of PESEL, because if we look at it, it's not directly relating to any of the Porter's 5 forces. It's more claiming about legal aspects that are potentially rather internal to the organization, not external, as in what Porter's 5 forces analyzes. So then we have E, which is the celebration event for the team that developed the new product needs to be agreed and organized. Is this relevant to Porter's 5 forces or not? Well, this is definitely not relevant. We can see that this has got something to do with some internal logistical concerns, and it's related to PR and staffing and such. So this may even not be part of any external analysis, such as PESEL. It may be part of maybe a POPIT or some internal analysis that may have been done. But based on these options, we can see that the correct answers here are B and E. Oh, sorry, not B and E. Well, actually, yes. The correct answers here are B and E, because these are the ones that are not related to Porter's 5 forces. So, I hope that has given you some insight into how to answer this question. Remember that the technique that I use, you may have your own technique, but I first like to get a contextual understanding of what the question is asking for, and just start almost in terms of resolution. Start off with a low resolution, and then slowly start deepening your understanding and start get more detailed information that you can extract from the question. Read through it, get an overview of what they're trying to ask, get an overview of what area of knowledge they're trying to test you on. Identify the technique if it's a question that's related to the technique, and more than not, in a business analysis practice test, it'll be related to the practical application of business analysis techniques. Then once you've identified the technique, then start placing this technique in the context of the scenario that they've presented, and then start slowly defining exactly what they want from you. What are they testing you on? What knowledge do they want you to? What do they want to apply your knowledge to that you've learned? And also remember that you clearly need to read the instructions of these questions, because sometimes they may be asking you to select more than one answer. Sometimes they may be asking you to just select one. And sometimes there may be several sort of distractors in the question. But read the instructions clearly and find out what they want from you, and then start connecting the dots. Start connecting your knowledge to what they're asking for and the scenario, and then the answers will reveal themselves to you. But remember that you also need to do some studying. You need to if you're doing an online course, don't just watch the videos and assume that that's enough for you to pass your exams. If you were in a university and you were attending a real life lecture event, the actual tutor, the lecturer that's standing in front of you in a lecture hall and explaining to you the information in a class, that lecture is designed for you to just understand the information, not to retain all the information. What you'll be doing is you'd have a dictaphone or you'd be taking down notes. Then you'd be given written notes after that, of which you have to do your own study and your own revision in order to take what you've understood in the lesson and bring it into the theory and what you're reading. So what I always suggest is that you go through the videos in your online course, in your business analysis practice course, and you watch them a couple times over and really just take that time to understand the context of what they're trying to explain this information to you. Once you now understand it, you're not at a point where you can start writing the exam. You still have to then go through your notes and go through the information, write your own individual notes and do further research so that you can then solidify your understanding, retain the knowledge, and then be able to extract the knowledge in your exam when you're being tested on it and apply this knowledge to these types of scenarios. Because as you are training to become a business analyst or a systems analyst or a strategic analyst, you will want to go into a job role or a career and be able to apply this knowledge to your work environment or the assignments that are presented to you. So this is the reasoning behind these types of courses and questions, about taking the knowledge that you've learned and applying it to these situations, these real world scenarios, such as in this question. And it's challenging, but it's also extremely fun, and it's actually enjoyable. It's almost like a puzzle that you have to work out. If life wasn't challenging, then it would be quite monotonous. So always see these challenges as fun, enduring exercises that you can learn from and get valuable skills that other people don't have, and skills that you can really get benefits from within your own organization or working for other organizations. So I hope that has been some insightful information into how to answer this question. And I'll see you in the next question, where we'll be answering question 3. Take care.